Record now. Okay, great, Kate. So let's speak about 10x Superpower. It is so intriguing title. Yeah,
Well,
so what motivated and excited you to write this book?
so 10x Superpower is the title. The subtitle is How to Make the Impossible Easy. And that's really
Oh.
what motivated me to write the book. I had written I'd written a book years ago about goal setting. It was called
Mm-hmm.
The Magic Lamp Goal Setting for People Who Hate Setting Goals. And I
Mm-hmm.
wrote it because I didn't like to set goals, but I knew I needed to set goals. And then one day it occurred to me that setting a goal is a lot like making a wish, rubbing a magic lamp and a genie
Mm-hmm.
comes out and grants your wish. It's a very similar process. The difference is you're your own genie. So once I started thinking that way, I got really excited about setting goals. I was never excited about setting goals before then, and then I got excited about making my wishes come true because that's what I was doing. So I wrote this book. It was very successful, sold around the world. Um, and I used it for many years. I was successful for many years, and then I realized I want more than this. I'm making incremental progress. I'm making 20%, 30% progress each year. I want more progress. I want extraordinary progress,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know how to do that, which really frustrated me because I'd spent most of my adult life researching the success literature. I was a success junkie. So I
Mm-hmm.
did this and started doing this research, and I discovered something that kind of blew my mind. It's a certain type of question that everybody uses. Everybody from Socrates to Tony Robbins to Dan Sullivan, everybody who has a philosophy of success relies on a certain type of question. They don't they I call it magic questions. They don't call it that, but everybody uses this. So I started thinking about magic questions. I wrote a book about that. That
Mm-hmm.
was successful. And then I said, there's still something missing. And then that's when I stumbled upon this idea of 10x superpower. Uh, this idea that you can take any part of your life, your business, because I work with entrepreneurs, that's my primary focus, but any part of your life, your business, your life, your relationships, your health, you can take where you are and you can go to a level, a whole new level that is 10 times beyond that. You can do that, and I can show people how to do that. And once I figured this out, then I wrote a book about that, and that book is coming out next month, by the way. So that's how we got to here.
Amazing, it is so creative. And even the way how you speak about this, I already get like feeling of that excitement and intrigue. Like, what is that? Yes,
Good.
but you're so right. Everybody is genie, and people are conditioned to look for their success outside of them. They think that, oh, it is something that is outside. Yeah, but if we really understand who we are and what potential we have, we understand that we can be our own genius and our
Yes.
mind and that power of our mind to create new things. Yes, that intellect, which is related to generating new ideas out of our imagination. And when people understand how powerful is this tool, and when they can also connect it with dreams and beliefs and having faith, yeah, this is when magic happens. So tell me a little bit how you found these magic tools which you describe in your book.
Well, so the idea of magic questions came to me when I realized that the key to everything I was reading, also I did a lot of research in the success literature. I went to seminars. I asked questions of people who were very successful, and it always came back to these questions that I kept encountering, and I realized that's the secret. That's what people. That's what makes people successful. Let me put it. We were talking about before we came on here. We were talking about artificial intelligence. So let me
Mhm.
put it in that context. Today, artificial intelligence is sort of taking over the world. It feels like every article you read, every seminar you go to, it's about artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
And the secret to artificial intelligence, to make it useful, is what's called prompt engineering. You create, you engineer a prompt for the artificial engine, whatever artificial intelligence engine you're using, And whether you want it to create a newsletter for you, or create a picture for you, or write something for you, or identify prospective customers, you have to get the prompt right to get the results to be meaningful, to be useful.
Exactly. Mhm.
So I realized that what I'm doing with Magic Questions is I am teaching people how to do prompt engineering for human intelligence.
Mm.
I'm doing the
Wow.
same thing that's going on
Interesting.
in AI, but I'm doing it for human beings so that they can make the most of their brain, which is still the most powerful
Mhm.
computer on the planet.
Mhm.
I don't know if it'll stay that way, but right now the human brain is still the most powerful computer there is. And I teach people how to prompt engineer that to get the results they want in their lives.
Mhm. Yes, it is like we can also prompt our brain. Yes, because our brain is computer, and the same way we can, by asking right questions, we can get the right answers. Yes, so this is, as you
Yes,
said, that the key is in those right questions, how to prompt them, and not only for brain but also for our mind. Because if we prompt it right, it will go not only conscious but also to subconscious mind. Yes, and
yes,
bring answers from that informational web, from that universal intelligence,
yes,
how these ideas come. Yes, like Google, when we search, we can type certain words, and from all this information, we get answers. And the same how we can connect to our subconscious mind to go and hunt and to bring us those ideas which will bring us to our goals. Yeah, it is very
yes.
interesting.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what it is. So, and then the 10x is the logical progression. Once you understand Magic Questions and you learn how to master them, and what I mean by mastery is you learn how to ask yourself the right question in the right way at the right time. And if you do that, you transform your life at the speed of thought, which is a profound thing when you think about it, being able to transform your life that quickly. But once you change your thinking, everything we do flows from our thinking. So Magic Questions help you think about what you want to think about, help you think in ways that serve you instead of ways that may be self destructive, help you shift your mind, shift your perspective. The Magic Question is the most powerful tool I've ever encountered for helping people choose what they want to think about instead of just thinking random thoughts and living a random life. So once you start getting in on top of your questions and understanding how questions help you, then you realize I can accomplish far more in my life than I ever realized. And in fact, I can actually accomplish the impossible. Not just accomplish the impossible, I can make the impossible easy, which is what led me to this next book, because that's what I teach people to do with Magic Questions and other tools. I teach them to take something that they think is impossible in their life, make it possible, and make it easy.
Sounds a great idea. Make
Yeah.
impossible possible and very easy. And what you said about getting those ideas, yes, and I think that it is one thing which here is important. Let's share this with people who listening to us, that when you get that idea, it is so crucial to act immediately on it.
Yes.
So to act with what you have, and do the first step, because
Yes.
if you just get idea but you don't act, it just goes. Yeah,
That's
so I
right.
think this is very key point here, that go for these ideas and when you get implemented, because here what is happening, and I want you to share, yeah, about this part, that when we go, oh sorry, I have to plug my ears. So here what is important to share, let's a little bit stop on this and discuss more, that when we go after that idea, we will face that brick wall, which is also like Bob Proctor calls it terror barrier, that
Yeah.
most of people, like, they want something, but because it is big, and when they start acting, as we said, that you should take action, you should expect that you will face the wall, because your paradigms, this is your exist in 3D reality will fight to stay in your life. Yes, and you should be ready to go through that wall. It will be feel like it is break wall, but if you continue going, you will break through it. Yeah, could you please share a little about this from your
Well,
perspective?
I think you and I think very similarly on this. Um, we the
Yes,
book.
yes, I am here. Yeah,
Can can you hear me?
yes, yes. I will
Okay.
just plug in my computer.
Okay. Uh, so you and I think similarly about this. I think the book is called 10x Superpower. It's organized into 10 breakthroughs.
Hmm.
Each one is in itself a life changing change in how you think. It's all about how you think. So these are all designed to help you think differently. And one of the breakthroughs is what I call the 10x lamp process. It's actually takes the core idea from my first book, The Magic Lamp, goal setting for people who hate setting goals, and brings it into the modern world with 10x. And it's all about figuring out how to take action. And the key to taking action is what I call ATOP. You act to transform obstacles into progress.
Hmm.
So going into this, you're going to face obstacles. In fact, when you set a 10x goal, when you think of something that you want so much, but it's way beyond what you have now, it's 10 times what you have now, it's impossible, but you want it and you commit to it. When you do that, your brain starts focusing on things that you didn't even think about before. And
Hmm.
that focus helps you move in a direction that you didn't realize you could move. And the first thing that happens with this new focus is you start identifying obstacles. You say, I want to go from where I am to 10 times where I am. And I'm committed to doing that. And the minute you commit, your brain goes, okay, we can do this. Um, here's what's here's what's going to get in your way. The brick wall. Here are the things that are going to get in your way. It actually creates a map for how to get where you want to go. Once you lay out the obstacles, once you embrace them, once you recognize them and celebrate them instead of being afraid of them, you realize this is showing me how to get what I want. All I have to do is overcome these obstacles and I get what I want. It's a really cool process.
Hmm.
And once you do it, you realize this whole process is how to use magic questions to overcome obstacles, not to overcome obstacles. That's not fair. To transform obstacles into forward movement, to transform obstacles into progress. That's what this is about. And once you do that, then there's nothing standing in your way anymore. And it's fantastic.
Yes, and it is very interesting that every time when we start acting, like doing the first steps, it feels like our body just like freezes. It just doesn't want to do it. Like consciously we understand that we want that, yes, but subconscious, like that programmed part, the way how we conditioned to think, it is totally like freezing, like is afraid and scared.
Yeah.
Yes, although we don't understand this consciously we want that, but it is just 5% of the iceberg which we see, yes, and 95 is what controls our habitual behavior, and most of our behavior is habitual. That's why we don't even understand, like we want to do it, but our all our like body and all our essence just refuses to do this, yeah. And this is so important to create new habits, because the voices which we will hear, it will be different reasons, like excuses, or maybe today not good day, maybe I do it tomorrow, or I have to
Right.
have this for that, yes. So it is so important to understand that we can break through that wall only when we create the habit to do immediately what we're afraid of, like what we have doubt, what was that noise which doesn't want us to do, we have to do it. Yes, and
Yep.
only when we step forward, we do the steps. This is how we break that wall.
Yes. And we create new habits. We
Yes,
cre-
create new habits, and also interesting that when we are here from this side of this wall, it feels like scary and it feels so big and difficult. But when we pass it and when we look back, we say like, oh, like it was not even difficult. Like, it was so easy. Why I
Yeah.
couldn't do it before? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and in the largest sense, that's what impossible is for people. When they think of something, there are two types of impossible. One type of impossible is something that violates the laws of the physical universe. I can't snap my fingers and be standing on Jupiter right now. I can't do that. Okay, that's impossible. That's not what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I'm talking about when a human being says, "Oh, I would so love to fill in the blank, right? Have a better relationship, take my business to a new level, start a business, um, achieve some wonderful thing in my life or have impact in someone else's life, whatever the objective is. You think of this thing and you think, oh, if only I could do that, but it's impossible for me. I'm not capable of doing it. And it's important to understand that when you say that, you're really only saying it's impossible for you. You're saying, I am not capable of that. So, what I teach people to do is to think of it slightly differently. Okay, you're not capable of that. It's impossible. What if you added capabilities? And it's amazing to see people's brain just change in that very moment because they realize they keep telling themselves, I don't have this capability. Well, what if they added capabilities? Now, suddenly the impossible doesn't seem so impossible. And if they keep adding capabilities, it's not only not impossible, it becomes easy. So it's really all about shifting how we think about things. You refer to the brick wall. I don't know how to get through a brick wall, but I do know how to think differently about it so that it's no longer a brick wall. It's no longer an obstacle. And as you said, once you get through that, once you make that progress, once you transform that obstacle into progress, it seems easy. And you wonder, why was I worried about that? And it's very much baked into human nature. That's how we look at the world. And so, what I'm teaching people is how to look at the world differently. Same thing that what you're talking about.
Yes, and I really enjoy our conversation because it resonates with me so much. What you said is just like exactly what I found out. Yes, so yes, this is very interesting that how people live in different frequencies and they think in different frequencies. Like it is like channels, yes, different channels, and how people live and they see the world through this the lenses of those programs, how they program right, through lenses of those paradigms, and for them it can be difficult, but for another person, when he looks at this who already at different frequency, it is like something like nothing. It's like so easy. People who think about like maybe a year goal, and for like somebody who make 100K and he thinks about a million or 10 million, if he thinks, oh, it may be 10 years goal, but someone else who already make 100 million, it is like nothing he can do it just within a month or within like few days. Yeah, so and it is we cannot say that that person is like genius or much more talented or have so much more. Actually, no, it is just the way how this computer, yes, his mind processor is different. It is like we use now iPhones. Yes, so many people use iPhones. And remember, like 20 years, we were using Sony Ericsson. But now Sony Ericsson we cannot use because we will not have access to many applications. Yes, so we
Right.
want to update, and this is how people don't understand. They just see themselves like limited. But we are not limited, we're limitless when we understand that it's up to us to update our software. And many people live all their lives without updating. Can you imagine if you bought Sony Ericsson 20 years or 30 years ago and you would still have the same computer, how much things you could not have access because you
Right.
didn't just update software But people who achieve results and success, it is not because they are lucky. There is no luck. Yes, like people look at those who successful and say that, oh, they're lucky. Maybe they had money. Maybe they had successful parents. But it
Right.
is not. It is just because they made the choices to, they just decided that they want to achieve that. Yes, and everything started from their decision. And so many people who are self-made millionaires or milliardaires, yeah, billionaires, because just they made decision and they could allow themselves to see themselves there. And why people are here, not because they cannot, but because they just don't think that way. They don't
Right.
they are not brave to think big enough to understand that if that person could do this, it means that so I also can I. Yes, I can do this, and everybody has the same potential.
Yeah, and people, the people who think differently don't have those barriers to how they think. They don't think in a box. They think, I don't want to say outside the box. That's a cliche. They just don't have. They don't think in a limited fashion. They don't think about what's in their way. They think about what they want, and that's a profound difference, because an awful lot of people immediately default to all the reasons they can't have something. And the people who are successful never do that. They immediately think about what they want. And then when the obstacles appear, the things that would prevent them from getting what they want, they turn those into raw material for making progress. They transform them into progress. And that's it's all mindset. I love your metaphor about updating the software. People, uh, we spend our lives growing up updating our software. We're sort of forced to. We go through school and we're updating all this stuff. We're learning all this stuff. You know a whole lot more when you're 10 than you did when you were 5, and a whole lot more when you're 15 than when you're 10, and so on. And then we get out of school and we don't think that way necessarily. Some people do, but some people just say, "Okay, this is me. This is who I'm going to be. This is who I want to be." And then when they start thinking about the things they want in life, they get into this fear of, well, I don't want to change, which is okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's so limiting. Imagine if imagine if you were if when you were 10 you decided you never wanted to change, and then you got to be 15 and you'd never change from being 10. That wouldn't be a life. That'd be crazy. So why do it now? Continually updating your software is really what it's all about. I love that.
Yes, there is so much inside, and I think that the best education is when people start learning about themselves and understand who they really are. Because, of course, in school we get basic information, basic education, but mostly in school what they teach is just to repeat information. Yes, how children get grades. They just listen, read,
Mm-hmm.
then repeat, and if they repeat well, this is how they get grades. Yes, they're not taught how to think. That's why so many people have many educations and many master degree or maybe doctorate degree, but when it comes to the life, they find themselves totally helpless because they don't know how to think. Yes, in that
Yes.
way, how to think really outside of your these 3D results, because this is only the way how you can grow. Otherwise, if you just think about your past experience and your current results, and your thoughts are only attached to this current reality, you will never build anything new. Because if we
Yep.
look at things around us, all this came because it is just idea. Yes, it is new idea which is originated initially in the mind, and then how it takes physical form. And it takes the same energy to think about misery and poverty and think about abundance and prosperity. It is the same thought process. And this is you who can choose what thoughts you want to think. And this is how, when you learn how to control your process, that is not just mental activity like chaotic thoughts for 24/7, but when you choose the thoughts and you choose the direction and then you take actions, this is how the change happens. And this is how success is not preserved just for one person or 2%, if for some individuals. Everybody, it is just the way of thinking and acting and feeling.
Yeah, it's all about thinking. There's a wonderful entrepreneurial coach named Dan Sullivan. He's got a company called Strategic Coach, and he has a saying, or he has a way of approaching the world. He says success in life is all about thinking about your thinking. It's exactly what you were just saying. It's people think, we all think we can't get through the day without thinking, but we don't necessarily think about what we're thinking. And if we start doing that, because that's what I'm teaching, that's what you're talking about. I'm teaching people to stop and think about what they're thinking and choose thoughts that can give them better results than what they're getting. So that's what magic questions are. Magic questions are a tool to change what you're thinking about. Um, and that's based on how the human mind works. When you ask somebody a question, it's almost impossible to not answer the question at some level. Even if you refuse to, your brain keeps working on it. When I'm doing seminars, I love to get in front of a group of people and I say, let me give you an example of this. What color are your mother's eyes? And
Mhm.
everybody just immediately goes internal and starts thinking about that. They didn't, even if they don't want to think about it, they can't help it because I ask them a question. And the way the brain works is the brain is going to do everything in its power to answer a question. It works the same way if you ask the question yourself of yourself. So that's what magic questions are. They're questions that are the questions you ask yourself. And you can't avoid answering them. You can pretend you're going to ignore it. You can say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. I can't. I don't have time now." And you can go on to something else. But once you've asked it, your brain starts churning and starts churning. You can be in the shower or taking a walk, and then suddenly, bang, you get an answer. That's the power of the human mind if it is properly handled, and if you learn how to think about your thinking.
Yes, I like the book of Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. And in this book, it is very, very transparent book, I would say.
Yeah,
And he says there that 2% people think. Can you imagine this statistic? Just 2% of people think,
yeah,
3% think that they think, and 95% would rather die than think. You just think about these numbers.
yeah, yeah. That's
So,
stunning. That sounds like
yeah.
Napoleon Hill. Yeah,
So it is different, different processes. Just having mental activity just on autopilot, which we don't even know what we think about all day long,
right,
and
right.
really thinking. Yes, when you are in control, when you choose your thoughts,
Yep,
this is
yep.
how the difference starts.
It is. That's the difference.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Kath. It was great to discuss with you this topic. And yes, so many people now need awakening, really. Like they don't need to wake that something bad happens because there are two ways how people usually wake up. Yes, when they find it themselves or when they wait something to happen that is not good.
Yep,
So it is really so important to make people think and go for big, to think and big. Yeah, and live the life of full potential. So I appreciate for being amazing guest today, and I'm looking forward for our next interview, which we will record for our podcast.
wonderful. I look forward to it too.
Yeah, so thank you so much, and see you again.
See you soon.